We have to start with this, right?
Yes.
Next part. Okay, so let's just start. Okay, next is foreign exchange reform. Okay, so what first thing is that in foreign exchange there are lot many things. Okay, this, that, those other things. Okay, Heba is also here. Okay, good evening, Heba.
Good evening, ma'am.
So we have to start from here. Okay, foreign exchange reform. So let's just start with this. Okay, so first thing is that, ma'am, for foreign exchange reform. So in foreign exchange reform, what were the first things? So first thing was devaluation of rupee. So ma'am, what is devaluation? Value means the cost of anything. Devalue means, for example, $1 is for 60 rupees earlier. Okay, but now for $1 you have to pay rupees 80. Right? So what is happening over here? The value of dollar is increasing, but the value of rupees is decreasing. Right? So this is what. So first foreign exchange reform, first was devaluation of rupee. Right? So what happens? First of all, you will write this. Devaluation of rupee means deliberations increase in foreign exchange rate by the government, making the domestic currency cheaper. So what happens basically when government makes the domestic currency cheaper as compared to dollar, rupee is cheaper, right? Because earlier you have to pay 60 rupees in order to get $1, but now you are going to pay 80 rupees in order to get $1. So that means your domestic currency is cheaper, right? So devaluation of rupee means deliberate increase in foreign exchange rate by the government, making the domestic currency cheaper. Okay. Next, devaluation led to increase. Why devaluation was done? Devaluation led to the increase in export and thus inflow of foreign exchange. See, for example, earlier over here, these are the products. Okay, one is this and this product. This is for 60 and this is for 80. Right? So for example, the people came from outside, they wanted to purchase this, right? So they just have to purchase, they will purchase this. Why? Because for this also they have to pay 1 rupees, and for this they have to pay 0.5, maybe something like that. So they'll be purchasing this. So what happens when you devaluate something, when people feel like, okay, the value of that currency is less as compared to our rupees, then they invest somewhere, right? So export increases and inflow of foreign exchange increases. Okay, this is what. The second thing, what they did foreign exchange deregulation. So what is first of all? First you will write this, then you will write this, then you will write this. So what is first of all, what is foreign exchange? So foreign exchange rate means price of one currency in terms of another. This is foreign exchange rate. If I'll ask you what is the foreign exchange rate between dollar and rupees, so you will say, ma'am, $1 is for rupees 80. Right? Similarly, for other countries, it can be dinar, it can be anything. Right? So foreign exchange rate means the price of one currency in terms of another. Okay. Now, instead of writing it, here you will write this. Foreign exchange regulation means freeing the determination of foreign exchange rate from government control. So earlier, this foreign rate, whether it will be rupees 80, rupees 90, rupees 100, it was determined by the government, right? But now this is not determined by the government. It is freed from the government control. Okay. Now, more often, exchange rate are determined by the foreign exchange market based on demand and supply of foreign exchange. So now, who is going to determine all this thing? Market is going to determine it. But sometimes RBI, who is the central bank, may intervene to control high exchange rate fluctuations. Sometimes RBI do interfere, right? But most of the time, who is going to control it? Market is going to control it, whether you are going to increase it or whether you are going to decrease it. Okay. Here, so you will write four. First, devaluation of rupees. This you will write, and second point. But then you will write foreign exchange rate. First point, second point, and third point. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll just move to the next part, which is the trade and investment policy reform. Okay. So, in order to protect the domestic industry, India was following a regime of quantitative restrictions on import. Okay. So, what government prior the reform? What this is what you are going to mention over prior. Okay. Prior the reform, in order to protect the domestic industry, India was following a regime of quantitative restrictions on import. So, there was restrictions on import, right? And this was encouraged through right control over import and by keeping the tariff very high. And the rate of tariff was very high, right? The rate of tariff was very high. Okay. So these were the two things which were done prior the reform. So for you will write fifth, trade and investment policy, then you will write prior the reform, prior the reforms, and then you will write first, and then you will write the second. Clear?
Done.
Okay, everyone done? Mariam and Mohammedayan? Mohammedayan, you are also done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now, next part. See, over here we are discussing about two topics. One is trade and one is investment. Okay. So, first thing is that the trade policy reform aimed at first dismantling the quantitative restriction on import and export. So, what was the thing that you have to dismantle the quantitative restrictions on import and export? Okay. Next, reduction of tariff rate. Okay. Next, removal of licensing procedure for import. So these were the aim of trade policy. Whatever policy, whatever reform you will be making in trade, these were the aim, right? Next, liberalization of trade and investment measures. So reforms when you liberalize trade and investment regime, then what happened? First, import licensing was abolished except in case of hazardous and environmentally sensitive industry. So import licensing was totally abolished. Like if you want to import something, you don't have to take permission, you don't have to take license, right? But for example, if you are importing something very hazardous or environment sensitive, then you have to take the license. Okay. Next, quantitative restriction on import and manufactured consumer goods and agricultural products were also fully removed from April 2001. So basically, quantitative restriction were also removed, right, from consumer goods, agricultural product, everything like fully, right? Next, export duties have been removed to increase the competitive position of Indian goods in international markets. So export duties like for example, if you want to sell something, you have to pay some tax. So it was also removed so that you can easily compete with other things and you can sell your product outside the India. Next, objective of liberalization of trade and investment regime. So why trade and investment sector need liberalization? Right. So first, to increase international competitiveness of industrial production. So see, if you will earlier there was no competition. So until and unless you don't have competition, you cannot perform well. So if you are in order to increase the international competitiveness, liberalization was important. Second, to increase foreign investment and technology in the economy. For example, this is India. If people will be doing foreign investment, like they'll be coming and they'll be selling, they'll be establishing their market over here. That's also a good thing. Next, to promote efficiency of local market industry. So earlier in India, there was no it was not allowed that foreign countries can come and establish their countries and sell their products. So people were not efficient enough, right? But now if you are going to liberal the things, others will be coming and you have to be more good, right? So that also to promote the efficiency of local industries. Next, in order to adopt modern technologies, like for example, earlier you were selling, you were printing this through the printing machine. It was not automatic. This was manual, right? But Japan gave you the new machine, which is automatic. You just need to press one button and everything will be done on its own, right? So this is what. So if you want to adopt modern technology as well, you need to liberalize trade and investment sector. Regime means sector. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first of all, you will write trade policy aim, hashtag, first, second, third, then hashtag, and then hashtag. Clear? Be very quick. We need to start the next topic today.
Done, ma'am. Ma'am, done.
Done, ma'am.
Eva, you are also done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's just start. Okay. So students, when we started this topic, like this chapter, we discussed about LPG, right? Liberalization, privatization, and globalization, right? So liberalization, we are done. Now we are going to start with P part, which is privatization. Okay. So ma'am, what is privatization? So this privatization means giving greater role to the private sector in the nation building process and a reduced role to the public sector. See, there are two sectors. One is public, right? And one is private, right? So privatization means the earlier 80% of the things was under control public sector, right? So now privatization means giving more role to private sector and giving less role to public sector. So this is the meaning of privatization. Okay. Now next thing, see, what I told you that 80% of the companies were under government control, right? So now you need to convert this 80% things to the private sector. So government companies are converted into private companies in two ways. First, by withdrawal of government from ownership and management of public sector undertaking, which is PSU. Okay, so this is known as privatization. Privatization. You can see the spelling from here. Okay, so earlier first step was like there were two ways. First, what you can do, you can change the ownership. For example, this is a company, this is under government. Who is the owner? Government. But now you change the owner. Now this company is under the private sector, maybe some person, right? So by this, and second, by outright sale of PSU, what you did, you, for example, this is a company which is under government sector, you sold this company to the private sector, okay, which is known as disinvestment, right? So by two ways you can do it, right? So government companies are converted into private sector companies in two ways, by withdrawal and by outright sale of PSUs. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, next thing is that, ma'am, what are the advantages of privatization and disinvestment, right? So first, what is happening? It is going to improve the performance of PSUs. So you're going to write, it is in which is that private capital and marginal capabilities could be effectively utilized to improve the performance of PSUs. So if you want to improve the performance of PSU means public sector undertakings, you have to do privatization and disinvestment. Second, the government invested that privatization could provide strong inputs to the inflow of FDI. FDI is foreign direct investment. They told that if you will do privatization and disinvestment, that will encourage foreign direct investment, and your foreign direct, when your foreign direct investment will be improved, you can easily do the things over there. Okay, here. Clear, students? No? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So now you will write, you will make a box, write privatization, then the definition of privatization, then hashtag this two things. Okay, and then advantage of privatization and disinvestment. Okay, everyone is done.